Margaret Koolman of soulastrology.com. I'm looking at the new moon chart for the 1st of June, where the sun and moon are together in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of movement. To have movement, you have to have at least 2 points to move between, which is why we say of the character of Gemini that they need at least 2 of everything. More than 2 would be better. Which is why you have variety, charm, because of many different ways of expression, lots of thought, lots of communicating. This new moon is exactly trine Saturn in Libra. We've been experiencing Saturn over the last year or so, keeping us in mind of what actually works to create harmony in relationships. So with the flexibility of this new moon working in harmony with it, it bodes well for our communication this month, in that the lightness of touch and the flexibility of Gemini help us to communicate more gently and explore the possibilities for creating harmony where it's been missing. The function of communication itself is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is still in Taurus. So, although the heart and the understanding, in a way, the inner understanding, is of movement, flexibility, peacefulness, respect, when it comes to actually saying things, we may be a bit short of words to do it with. And possibly when we move forwards to communicate something good, it comes out with a bit more weight, heaviness than we intended, and could come out at the wrong time, and perhaps with words that don't work so well. The Mercury is at right angles, it's square to Neptune. The problem there is really that we've thought what it is we want to say, and we go ahead and say it without remaining empathic to the situation, which is changing all the time, of course. It's that aspect of Taurus which ends up being stubborn, hanging on to what it's decided or what it expects, regardless of changing times or changing moods. And consequently, holding to that blocks off the peripheral information which could suggest what adjustment needs to be. So it's ignoring what we're actually picking up round the edges. So we need to take off the blinkers, hesitate, use that steady quality of slow quality of Taurus to actually pause before we speak, not to gather our words, but to feel what's appropriate in connection with the outside. Movement between 2 points means connection between those points. We need to be receptive to how it is out there, as well as honestly expressive of ourselves. That pause to listen first will make all the difference. Saturn is basically stationary this month, retrograde at present, and on the 12th turning to go direct again, but really within that same degree for the whole month. And it makes me wonder if perhaps with the new moon connecting to it so clearly, as if what we will be communicating about and sorting out in our relationships is stuff that went on last October, towards the end of last October, when Saturn was at this degree before. So it could be a revisiting of that time, as sorting things out, but sorting them out in a very comfortable way, I suspect. Jupiter at last goes into Taurus on the 4th of June, so I imagine that our fast forward that's been a bit confusing and fascinating, exciting, worrying, forward movement for a while, for the last few months, actually slows down. And I think already for the last couple of weeks, with Mercury, Venus and Mars in Taurus, there will have been this settling within ourselves a bit. But with Jupiter joining in, it's as though, having got our balance, we can then move forward in a very practical, solid, down-to-earth way, which does mean that all those things that we were hoping were potentially going to be achievable, we may have to let go of some of those. Do the things that actually are achievable, but actually get them done. We're approaching that time again of the year, which we've been feeling for the last few years, these months, sort of April, May, June, July, just these months each year, the intensity of the coming times increases. It's as though we're getting waves that come up the shore, and in these months, I hesitate to say summer months because of the southern hemisphere, when they're actually the winter months, but these months anyway, is when Uranus and Pluto are getting closer and closer to squaring each other. In the chart it shows them as square now, and yes, in any chart you would call that 3 degrees out of accuracy, definitely that's a square. But it's the exactness that we're sort of waiting for, and that's what will come next summer in 2012. That's when the actual connections where the square point is passed to and fro several times for 3 years begins. Close as we could be at the moment, without it being exact. So that feeling of intensity, but this is what I think we're experiencing, and it's not just personal. So a lot of the time, I think, if you feel a small amount of disturbance, you're liable to end up feeling a lot more disturbance because you've moved into that level of vibration where everybody's feeling it. So you might find that you're feeling far more about things than seems reasonable. The thing to do is to acknowledge the feelings. Remember, if you can, that it's not just you feeling it, and let the feelings flow. It's only when we resist feelings that we get stuck with them. It's as though the resistance is a block, so that the feelings, the emotions can't flow through and out. As Jupiter makes his shift into Taurus, he makes a beautiful connection to Neptune, a lovely sextile. So I feel that the spiritual force at present is being emphasized. The Taurusness of that connection suggests that the earth itself is on the move, and from our point of view, that is, we can connect with the movements when we allow ourselves to connect with nature. So the spiritual force, in a way, is coming through the world of nature, through our bodies. We're tuning in better with our bodies than with our minds. Our bodies and our emotions, the finer emotions particularly. As Jupiter moves forward, at first it doesn't get very far into Taurus. Jupiter continues through Taurus as far as 10 degrees by the end of August, at which point it starts to retrograde for its statutory 4 months every year. But that does mean that it's going to trine Pluto, as well as sextiling Neptune and Chiron. So this Earth movement, spiritual force flowing through the Earth to transform everything, is right up. I think I've expressed this and more smoothly on my website, and the contemplation follows. Being where you are, allow the presence of 2 powerful energies just behind you, one at each shoulder. They face the same direction as you. They are like wings at your back. Thus supported, face forward, standing firm, knowing that you can deal with whatever happens. And then let your focus come closer to what you can do in this moment. Whenever you find that your focus has stretched into a worrying future, be aware of these two forces at your back and trust that all will be well, because in truth all is well.